Hey, it's Jacqueline here. And as we know, the federal budget was announced yesterday. And not surprisingly, housing affordability was the topic du jour. So we're already getting lots of calls asking us exactly what we think the impact of this budget is going to be, and if this is really going to help housing affordability both locally and federally. So I wanted to provide some insights in terms of what they are proposing for the key changes and what my essentially observations are on what the impacts are going to be. Lots to unpack here, so let's get right into it. First and foremost, let's talk a little bit about the first-time buyer programs. As we know, this is a population that has really been impacted around the issues of housing affordability and getting into the housing market. The program that they're introducing is a new tax-free home buying account. So this is actually going to act very much like a TFSA, where essentially you can put aside a certain amount of funds every year that is tax-free. With this particular program, it has a max limit of about $8,000 a year. So great benefit in the sense that it makes it an easy ability for buyers to save towards their down payment. One of the key things around this particular program, though, or issues, I would say, is that it's going to take a long time. So it's not going to be something that's going to impact or help people right away. When you factor in, for example, in Northumberland, based on the average sale price, you're looking anywhere from a $40,000 to $50,000 down payment currently on your first house. It's going to take 5 to 6 years based on the max ability with this program to save those funds. The other thing that we obviously have to account for is that we are in a very expensive world right now, as we know, in terms of the cost of living is skyrocketing. So first-time buyers are going to have a lot of challenges actually having funds to put aside to save, especially when we are also in one of the most expensive rental markets. So again, not really that great in theory, but again, something that's a fairly easy soundbite to announce. They're also providing, they're going to double actually the first-time home buyer tax credit. It was previously at $750, now it will be $1,500. So the one thing I want to talk about, which is probably one of the big things that's come out of the budget that a lot of people are asking about, is the foreign buyer ban. So essentially what that means is that they are going to ban any foreign buying in Canada for the next 2 years. Sounds great in theory, but again, when you look at this one in practicality, we got to consider some of the numbers behind it. So just for information, 4.7% is roughly about how many homes in Canada are owned by foreign buyers. It's a very, very small portion of home ownership in our country. The other thing to factor in with this is that it is very much something that is centralized towards more urban locations. So again, when people are buying in terms of foreign investing, speculation in Canada, they tend to go after things like the condo market. So again, it's going to be something that has more of an impact in those particular markets. And again, only a very small population of the buying individuals that are going after those particular housing units. The other thing to consider with this is that investors who are wealthy enough to be buying properties in one of the most expensive countries in the world probably also have the resources to find loopholes to continue to do so. So again, this is one of those areas where I think this is probably a really nice soundbite, but when you actually dig into the numbers about it, actually probably not going to do much of anything to help housing affordability or balance out the housing market. So let's talk a little bit about one of the areas that I actually am particularly excited about, and that's development. So as I've talked about before, the big issue is all about supply and demand. In Canada, we have the lowest number of housing units per population than any other G7 country. We also factor in the fact that we are actually one of the fastest growing G7 countries. So essentially we have a huge issue of no supply, a significant demand, and that demand keeps increasing while we're really not doing anything to increase the actual supply of housing units. This is looking to tackle some of this. They're going to be investing $6 billion in reducing the red tape and increasing development in municipalities. Again, sounds like a really nice big number, but you also have to factor in there's about 3,500 municipalities across Canada. So again, when you look at the numbers and sense of it, really not that big of an investment when you think about it. So overall, it's a really complicated program involving all levels of government. Rather than tackle the programs or the problem itself, I really feel this budget's proposals are several quick band-aid fixes that actually aren't going to do very much to solve the core issue. At the end of the day, there's very little here that's actually going to have a meaningful impact on benefiting Canadians from a housing affordability or existing homeowners. With all government programs, however, the devil is always in the details. So over the next coming months, there's going to be legislation put in place to support these proposals. All the details are going to be finalized. I, of course, will be keeping an eye on all of this and keep you informed along the way. If you have any specific questions around housing or the budget, please feel free to DM me or give me a call anytime. Take care.